So that brings us to defining our bot personality. And, you know, in the course, there's a lot of work on this, and that you'll probably recognize this persona sheet. You know, with clients, when we work with clients, it's sometimes an uphill battle to get them to really do the backstory and all that good stuff. We find it really, really does help. So if you can, even if there's just one team member who says they'll do it, it's really great to have it in the bag and have it in your style guide, because it really, yeah, I'll just post the link just a sec. Oh, wait, I have to do some clever tricks here. Stop sharing for a second. Wait, why? Okay. I'll just post the link to the article. Chat. Wow, that actually worked. I'm amazed. So, you know, it's all about having the name. What we're finding now when we do the chatbot persona with clients is like one of two things will happen. So either once you mention that the chatbot has to have a name, 4 people in the team will say, "Oh yeah, it has to be called Mick, or it has to be called this, or it has to be," or everybody will blank on it, and there will be no progress. So, and then just leave that, park it for a while, maybe do some candidate names, and then fill in the rest of the persona worksheet, let it sit for a week, and then usually suddenly a name will pop up that fits the description, rather than having a name which can often kind of steer you in a direction for, you know, creating the rest of the persona. One thing that's really popular, as it's 2022, is more gender neutral names. So at least in Dutch, Mick, for example, is the name of the Van de Bron chatbot, the energy company's chatbot. One of the reasons they chose that name is because in our language, it's gender neutral. You know, and going back a few years, having, you know, been trained at Google to design personality, back then it was like, you have to pick a gender because it's what people identify with. I think it still helps to choose a gender because it just makes it easier. But it's not really important. Yeah, Chris, great. The stakeholders don't want a name. That's really tricky, because how does the chatbot then ever refer to itself? I would always just pick a name, even if it's like a name version of an acronym. You can, you know, you can pitch some different versions of that. Gender neutral acronym. Yeah, so I agree. So writing, it can be really tricky if it has to be strictly gender neutral. But it can be, you know, it can be done. And as the team grows, that'll be writing for this project, maybe, then there will be men and women writing for it. So it'll become a bit of a mixed content anyway. But, you know, I was very much in the camp to, just for your persona, just pick a gender, because it's easier for creating and it's easier for your customers, because they will assign a gender to it when they talk to it anyway. And if you've picked one, it just makes it simpler. But then I've done a few projects where we went gender neutral for the chatbot persona, and it didn't really impact as much as I thought it might. The only thing I would recommend, if at all possible, if you have an acronym, and I'll write one, like, please don't do it in all caps, right? Because it just looks really weird, and it really detracts from, it's kind of uncanny valley-ish for someone to see, hi, like they're greeted by the chatbot and it says, hi, I'm Jason, what's your name? You know, I mean, it just looks weird. It looks like somebody's shouting at you, basically. I mean, and that really does work that way. So if you have an acronym, just try to fight with the stakeholders and make it in lower caps. Okay. So what if you don't give it a personality at all? Well, as I showed you from all the Star Wars examples and the people that created pictures based on interacting with Siri and Alexa, no personality just doesn't exist, right? People will project a personality on a chatbot, on a digital voice they're talking to. They'll project what they feel is the personality of that chatbot. So it will have a personality regardless of you making a conscious choice not to give it a personality. The only thing is that that personality that people project on it will probably be dull, boring, mixed up. So it'll become a random tone of voice. So it won't help you in your creative process. It won't align with the brand in any sensible way. So you just have to go through the steps of creating at least a minimal persona and some minimal rules of how that persona translates into the copy and into the design. A chatbot that has not been given any persona, so without persona, will always be more inconsistent. Inconsistency will lead to it being less likable and less trustworthy. So, even if you have to do it like just with your team and hardly ever talk to stakeholders about designing a persona or whatever, you have to really do it to make a chatbot successful.